Everything in the universe is governed by vibration. What you see with the physical eye is but the outer expression of an inner rhythm, a frequency that has been set in motion long before the results appeared. The human mind, being a divine instrument, is not only capable of receiving vibrations, it is constantly sending them. Every thought you think, whether fleeting or deeply rooted, is a vibrational signal broadcast into the ether, forming patterns that eventually return to you as conditions and circumstances. To attract money, one must first become aware of the vibration of money. Money, in its purest sense, is energy puts tide. It is not evil, nor is it elusive. It is responsive. Money responds to mental atmosphere. It gravitates toward those who think thoughts of confidence, security, abundance, and circulation. It shies away from minds steeped in fear, resentment, scarcity, or unworthiness. The law is impersonal and exact. It does not consider what you want. It reflects what you are vibrating. Many cry out, "Why does money not come to me?" And the answer is always found in the mental frequency they are tuned to. A person may wish for prosperity with their words, yet if they harbor inner doubt, envy of others' success, or fear of lack, then their vibration is mixed and unstable. The universe responds not to what you say occasionally, but to what you believe consistently. Belief is sustained vibration. It is the tone your inner being hums with, even when your lips are silent. Imagine your mind as a tuning fork. If you strike the note of worry, you summon the experiences that match that tone: unexpected bills, delayed payments, closed doors. But strike the note of faith, confidence, and receptivity, and you will find opportunities, unexpected channels, and financial favor begin to flow. You must discipline your thought life as one would train a wild horse. The untamed mind runs toward fear and what ifs. The awakened mind pulls back and redirects toward the truth of abundance. There is no virtue in poverty. To accept lack as your portion is to deny the limitless giving nature of the spirit. Every time you think a thought of financial limitation, you are aligning yourself with that frequency. You are agreeing, consciously or not, with a world of restricted supply. But when you declare, my supply is unlimited, and money comes to me through unexpected avenues, you raise your vibration and draw that very reality toward you. The power of the word combined with the power of belief is the recipe for material transformation. You cannot cheat the law of vibration. Pretending to be prosperous while secretly clinging to fear and doubt will not fool the universe. It knows your true tone. Therefore, it is not about putting on airs, but shifting within. Begin to think from abundance, not just about it. Let your imagination feast on what is possible. Feel the vibration of having, not just desiring. Speak not of what you lack, but of what you expect in faith. Money, being a faithful servant of spiritual law, follows the frequency of conviction. There is a subtle shift that happens when the mind stops begging and starts expecting. Begging affirms distance. Expecting affirms alignment. To expect is to know that your vibration is a match to the good you seek. Hold steady in this vibration even when appearances contradict. Appearances are temporary. Vibration is the cause, and the cause, held firmly in place, must produce after its own kind. Let the mind become a sacred space where only thoughts of wealth, circulation, freedom, and divine supply are entertained. Cast out the intruder thoughts of lack as one would remove thieves from the temple. For every thought carries a current, and that current becomes form. The spiritual substance of money in its truest essence is not the printed note or the shining coin. Those are symbols, outward shadows of an invisible substance. Real money, the source of all supply, is spiritual. It is invisible, infinite, inexhaustible. It flows not from man but through man, and it originates from the divine source, that great storehouse of substance from which all things are formed. To treat money as a merely material thing is to reduce it to dust and forget its origin. True prosperity begins with the recognition that money is divine substance condensed into form for your use and service. There is no lack in the mind of God. There is no poverty in the infinite. The spiritual realm knows no shortage, no delay, no withholding. All that is required is already provided. Oh, it's there. It exists now, in an invisible state, waiting to be summoned by the vibration of belief. Just as a seed already contains the full blueprint of the tree, so your supply already exists in substance. You do not create it, you call it forth. The great mistake many make is worshiping the shadow and forgetting the source. They chase money as if it has power on its own. They strive, toil, fear, and beg. But money is a servant, not a master. It is a result, not a cause. The cause is always spiritual. When you connect to the divine current of supply, money becomes a byproduct of alignment. You do not run after it. It comes to you by right of consciousness. The world teaches effort, struggle, competition. But divine law teaches recognition, receptivity, and alignment. When you know that supply is spiritual and money is simply one channel of its expression, you are freed from dependence on people, jobs, or conditions. You understand that God is your source, and the substance of money will manifest through whatever channel He chooses. If one door closes, another opens. If one channel dries up, another appears. The substance is eternal, and it takes form wherever it finds a receptive mind. Money is not made by might nor by manipulation, but by consciousness. The one who knows the truth of their divine inheritance walks in a quiet confidence. They do not plead with life. They command it through their knowing. They do not hoard, for they trust the flow. They give freely, knowing that every act of circulation activates the law of increase. They see money not as something to be clung to, but as a tool of service and expansion. To live in lack is not noble. It is a form of spiritual amnesia. It is forgetting the truth that supply is as constant as breath, as dependable as sunrise. Every time you worry about money, you affirm a belief in separation from your source. But when you recognize that you live in a universe of substance, limitless, loving, and lavish, you cease to fear. You understand that wealth is your divine birthright, and to claim it is to honor the giver. Begin then to see money as spiritual substance vibrating at a certain frequency, called into your world through thought, feeling, and word. Refuse to speak of the hard times or in not enough. Such words set spiritual law against you. Instead, speak of the fullness of supply, the abundance that knows no bounds. Declare, my supply is from the infinite, and it takes form here and now through perfect channels. You must come to feel the presence of this spiritual substance even when the outer pockets are empty. Show. The emptiness is a lie. It is appearance only. Substance is always present. Just as the air remains though unseen, so does your wealth surround you, waiting for your recognition. Money comes to those who are inwardly rich. It does not answer desperation. It responds to dominion. The substance of money moves toward faith, confidence, clarity, and praise. It recoils from fear, resentment, envy, and complaint. If you speak ill of the wealthy, you shut the door on your own wealth. If you judge prosperity, you block your own increase. To align with money as spiritual substance, you must honor it, bless it, and welcome it as a holy visitor. For money, rightly understood, is a sacred energy given for good, for generosity, for beauty, and for the fulfillment of divine purpose. Law of substitution in the spiritual realm. No two thoughts can occupy the same space at the same time. You cannot dwell in fear and faith simultaneously, just as light and shadow cannot exist in the same place. The mind must choose its master. Law of substitution teaches that when a negative thought appears, it must be consciously replaced with its positive spiritual opposite. This is not merely a mental exercise, it is a creative act. Every time you substitute truth for error, you are planting seeds in the unseen that must bear fruit in the visible. Fear, doubt, and worry are thieves of vibration. They rob the soul of its power and weaken the magnetic field that draws supply. When one begins to fear that the rent will not be paid, or the debt will not be cleared, or the opportunity will pass by, that fear sets in motion a vibration of lack. The spiritual law is precise. What you emotionally dwell upon, you attract. Therefore, the antidote is not to suppress the fear, but to replace it. You do not fight darkness. You simply turn on the light. Every negative thought is a form of hypnosis, an illusion attempting to convince you that you are separate from your source. But the awakened soul knows better. The moment fear arises, the spiritual warrior says, "This is not the truth of my being. My supply is infinite, my path is ordered, and divine timing is at work." These are not mere affirmations. They are corrective frequencies that reset the mind and redirect the vibration. Law of substitution requires discipline, for the mind is accustomed to rehearsing trouble. It is drawn to worst-case scenarios and past disappointments. But you are not bound by that habit. You have dominion. You may at any moment say, I refuse to dwell in the frequency of fear. I choose now to think from the vibration of divine abundance. Just as one would turn the dial on a radio to tune in to a clear signal, so must you adjust your mental dial away from confusion and toward clarity. You cannot entertain lack and abundance in the same breath. One must yield. If you say, money is coming to me now, but inwardly tremble at your bank account, your vibration is not aligned. But when you say, I am a magnet for divine supply, and feel the power behind the words, you are substituting a new reality into your consciousness. It is not enough to want money. You must accept it in consciousness, and the first step is to replace every doubt with a spiritual truth that carries weight and conviction. When doubt whispers, there's not enough, the soul must reply, my good is limitless and always arriving. When fear cries out, how will I make it? The higher self answers, the way is already prepared. I walk in divine favor. This is not self-deception, it is spiritual authority. The outer world is only a mirror reflecting the dominant vibration within. Therefore, by substituting fear-filled thoughts with those rooted in divine law, you alter the reflection. Practice is key. The mind must be trained to pivot. As soon as you catch yourself spiraling into worry, stop. Speak truth aloud. Declare abundance even if appearances deny it. You are not creating the abundance, you are attuning to it. You are pulling the invisible into visibility through the law. The spiritual path is not the absence of challenge, but the mastery of response. The one who masters substitution becomes a vessel through which divine substance flows unhindered. Every great soul who has lived in true prosperity has understood this principle. They watched their thoughts as one would guard a treasure. They knew that one anxious moment, left unchallenged, could disturb the flow, so they became vigilant. When envy appeared, they blessed others. When fear arose, they praised supply. When doubt crept in, they proclaimed divine certainty. In this way, they kept their vibration pure and their field magnetic. Words are your magic wand in the invisible realm where thought forms shape destiny. Words are not idle sounds, they are wands of power. Every word spoken is a decree, a vibration sent forth charged with the emotion behind it, destined to return in kind. The ancients knew this, for it is written in spiritual law, by thy words thou art justified, and by thy words thou art condemned. What you speak consistently, with feeling and faith, becomes the mold into which substance flows. Words are containers of energy. They carry vibration, and that vibration either aligns you with the frequency of wealth or repels it. The law does not distinguish between a joke and a decree. It simply responds. So when one carelessly declares, I can't afford that, or a money is hard to come by, they are writing on the tablets of their subconscious a truth that must be fulfilled, unless it is replaced. There is no such thing as a neutral word. Every syllable spoken is a seed sown. When you speak of prosperity, speak with authority. Speak as one who knows, not one who hopes. The universe responds not to pleading, but to conviction. Say not, I wish I had more, but rather, money flows to me freely and abundantly through known and unknown channels. Speak it in the morning when the world is still, and again when the sun sets. Let your words build a rhythm, a current that draws wealth like iron filings to a magnet. This is not vanity, but alignment. Some believe that words must match reality in order to be true. But in spiritual law, words precede form. The spoken word is the blueprint, the physical is only the construction. If you speak only what you see, you will never rise beyond present circumstances. But if you dare to speak what spirit reveals, words of wealth, success, freedom, you invite that unseen truth into visible form. Say, I am rich, and though your purse be light, the universe begins its invisible orchestration. The subconscious mind is impressionable. It does not argue or analyze. It receives your repeated declarations as fact and sets in motion the vibrations necessary to match them. It is your servant, and your words are the commands. If you declare, I always have more than enough, that idea will begin to seek expression. Conditions will rise to fulfill the picture you have painted. Words are spiritual agents. They do not die. Once uttered, they go forth and work, drawing unto themselves people, circumstances, and events in harmony with their nature. It is vital, then, to become a master of your tongue. Do not speak lack, even when it knocks at your door. Do not give voice to fear, even when it tightens its grip. Speak instead the language of truth. Every bill is paid by divine order. I live in a universe of endless wealth. I am the beloved of the infinite, and prosperity is mine by divine right. Let these words be as natural to you as breath. Let them form the inner soundtrack of your life. Even casual speech must be watched. The universe has no sense of humor about spiritual law. A joke about being broke, spoken in jest but felt in truth, may carry more weight than a solemn affirmation said without feeling. Therefore, speak deliberately. Speak from power. Your words are a wand. Use them not to curse your circumstances but to bless your path. Call nothing small. Say not, this little job or just enough to get by. Speak expansion. Speak overflow. Speak increase. As one tunes a musical instrument, so must you tune your language. Remove from your vocabulary all expressions of defeat, limitation, and fear. Replace them with words of confidence, beauty, and wealth. Let every utterance be a declaration of your alignment with the divine current of supply. For the tongue is a creative force, and when it moves in harmony with spirit, it opens the floodgates through which the riches of heaven pour into the affairs of man. Gratitude activates the frequency of receiving. Gratitude is not a reaction, it is a vibration. It is not merely saying a thank you after something arrives. It is the spiritual acknowledgement that what you seek is already present in substance, awaiting expression in form. The grateful heart operates at the highest frequency of receptivity. It is the tuning fork that harmonizes with the rhythm of divine supply. When you give thanks in advance before you see the evidence, you are demonstrating faith, the very substance by which all things are made manifest. Many believe they must wait to see results before expressing thanks. But spiritual law functions in reverse. First comes the vibration, then the form. Gratitude is the invisible magnet that pulls visible blessings into your world. When you give thanks for money before it appears, you are aligning with the truth that it already exists in the invisible realm and is making its way to you through perfect channels. Your praise is the pathway it travels. The one who truly understands the spiritual nature of supply does not wait for the evidence of the senses to celebrate abundance. They wake up and say, "A thank you for the unseen wealth that is already mine. Thank you for the financial increase that is now unfolding. Thank you for the open doors and divine connections, even if I do not yet see them." This kind of gratitude is not fantasy, it is frequency. It is the signal that activates the law of attraction at its highest octave. When the mind is filled with complaint, resentment, or comparison, it broadcasts the vibration of lack. It declares to the universe, "I do not trust the flow," and so the flow is hindered. But gratitude unlocks it. Gratitude says, "I trust that my needs are met, my good is assured, and my path is lit." In this state, even the smallest gift is magnified. A found coin becomes a token of larger blessings. A paid bill becomes a signal of financial harmony. Gratitude multiplies whatever it touches. The loaves and fishes in the ancient story fed multitudes not because of their quantity, but because of the blessings spoken over them. Jesus looked up and gave thanks. He did not bemoan what was lacking. He praised what was present, and by that act, what was present expanded. So it is with money. When you give thanks for what you have, you tell the universe, "I am ready for more." But when you despise small beginnings, you delay your increase. Develop the habit of giving thanks for all forms of prosperity, seen and unseen. When a friend treats you to lunch, bless it. When a discount appears at the register, affirm, "A divine supply is active in my affairs." When a new client reaches out, give thanks before the agreement is even made. These small recognitions build a frequency of receptivity that cannot be ignored by spiritual law. The grateful soul is never empty for long. You may not yet see the full manifestation of what you desire, but you can praise its spiritual reality. You can say, "I bless the money that is on its way to me. I give thanks for the wealth circulating through my life. I rejoice in the abundance that is taking form now." These are not vain repetitions, they are spiritual technologies. Each phrase spoken in gratitude chisels away doubt and polishes the mirror of your consciousness so that it may reflect divine abundance more clearly. Keep a record of your blessings, no matter how modest. A journal of gratitude is a ledger of wealth. It reminds the subconscious that prosperity is already flowing. It creates a trail of evidence for the rational mind while strengthening the faith of the inner being. The more you recognize the gifts you've received, the more open you become to greater gifts. Gratitude is the key that turns the lock on the treasury of heaven and aligns you with the rhythm of limitless giving. Divine timing and detachment in the divine economy. Everything moves according to perfect rhythm. There is no haste, no delay, no disorder in the flow of spirit. What appears to human sight as waiting or uncertainty is often divine orchestration in progress. The soul that understands spiritual law does not rush, worry, or grasp. It trusts the timing of the infinite with unwavering calm, knowing that every desire planted in faith is already growing beneath the surface of time and space and will blossom when the hour is ripe. Detachment is not indifference, it is divine confidence. It is the unwavering knowing that what is yours cannot be withheld, and what delays is only aligning itself more perfectly with your highest good. The moment you release the desperate need for control, you make space for the miracle to unfold. Desperation strangles the channel. Faith loosens the grip and allows substance to take form. Many souls plead for their desires to manifest quickly, forgetting that urgency belongs to fear, not to faith. The one who truly trusts does not demand, they declare, align, and allow. They speak the word, hold the vision, and then go about their affairs with ease, knowing that divine intelligence is already working behind the veil. Just as a farmer plants the seed and does not dig it up each day to check its progress, so must you speak your word for supply and then leave the details to divine law. The law is not mocked. It is not blind to your readiness. It delivers in exact proportion to your vibration, not your calendar. If something you desire has not yet arrived, do not say, "It's not working." Say rather, "It is working perfectly and all things are unfolding in divine order." The timing of the universe is mathematical, flawless, and compassionate. It is not slow, it is sure. There is wisdom in delay. Sometimes the answer is being shaped into something better than you asked. Sometimes your inner world is being refined to match the level of good you have called in. And sometimes divine timing is holding the door until you are fully ready to walk through it with grace. The immature mind resents the pause, but the spiritually awakened heart rests in it. It says, "Even this waiting is part of my preparation." When you let go of the how, you release resistance. When you surrender the when, you make room for joy in the present. Clinging to outcomes blocks the very channels through which your good wishes to appear. The soul that is free of attachment remains in a state of receiving at all times. It knows that the invisible supply is constant, and that what belongs to it is drawn irresistibly by spiritual law. This is the posture of divine detachment, not passive but peaceful, not withdrawn but wise. You do your spiritual work. You align your thought, speak your word, give your thanks, and bless the process. But you do not chase, fret, or demand. You trust that if a door is shut, another will open. If one stream dries, a river will rise. You do not live by appearances but by inner assurance. That assurance keeps your vibration high and your heart undisturbed. Be not fooled by the ticking of the clock or the calendar of man. Spirit does not count in hours, it counts in readiness. When you are truly aligned with the frequency of wealth, nothing can stop your manifestation, not people, not systems, not delay. But the alignment must be pure, fear must be dissolved. Clinging must be released. You must love the vision without needing it to appear in your time. You must walk in faith as though it were already done. For in the invisible realm, it is already finished. Release your grip on conditions. Let go of forcing the outcome. Know that you are not waiting on money. Money is waiting on your perfect vibration. Trust that divine timing is always precise, always generous, and always in harmony with your highest and best.